online dating.
In #DateMe, online romance has audiences laughing at Second City's Up Comedy Club. But it's all based in reality.
I was like, I am not on an online dating site.
Robin Lynn Norris agreed to critique a friend's dating profile, but to even get online, she needed one of her own.
I created this crazy cat lady named Tracy Loves Cats, and she only talked about her kitties. 3 days later, logged back on, and I had hundreds of messages from men, very into this lady, talking in like all meows, like meow, meow, purr, nap. And I was like, what is this?
She eventually created 38 quirky profiles, finding the odder they were, the more responses they got. Like Pioneer Woman, who stays in character at a historical reenactment museum.
You'd be shocked how many men were into it, and they wanted to play along. You know, they'd be like, I will ride in my wagon to your barn.
I think every dating site has a different personality.
After her divorce, Aurora Chang entered the world of online dating and understands the responses.
When you see something a little different, and you're like, oh, okay.
What did you learn through all of this?
I learned that men really don't get a lot of messages. For every one message a man receives, a woman gets 17. I found out that 28% of people are willing to participate in historical reenactments. Ha ha gets a 45% reply rate. LOL, 41%, I think. HE, like, heh heh. People do that. And that goes all the way down to 33% because it's a little creepy.
Do you feel like a yenta or a matchmaker?
I never thought I would, but I kind of do.
In Old Town, Vince Gerasole, CBS 2 News.
Chicago's Lyric Opera is getting its rock on. They are mounting a production of Jesus Christ Superstar.
As CBS 2's Vince Gerasole reports, for the Lyric, it's bringing a new kind of voice center stage.
2, 3, 4.
The sound is classic rock, the moves, mosh pit perfection.
This is the first time in Lyric's history that we're doing a rock opera.
Jesus Christ Superstar, the rock opera, is the Lyric Opera's latest spring production. Its bold sounds are a break with tradition.
How do you find the right voices?
It's really hard work. We're looking for people who are capable of singing at the extremities of their voice.
The creative team responsible for London's award-winning 2016 revival is mounting the Chicago production.
Let's stand by.
With over 80 artists on stage, it's double the size. In 1970, Jesus Christ Superstar started life as a rock album. It's a telling of the final days of Christ in human terms.
The retelling of the Passion and a rock concert.
Lyric typically spotlights Broadway classics in the spring, reaching upwards of 35,000 first-time ticket holders. Producers have faith Superstar will appeal to even more.
You know, I was this close to the action today. I wanted to dance too, but I didn't. An added treat to this production, a chorus of classic lyric opera voices providing a layer of softer texture during Superstar's quieter anthems. It runs April 27th to May 20th. Also, you can see a stronger presence for Mary Magdalene in this production because history is now changing its interpretation of Mary Magdalene. She was most likely not a prostitute, but a benefactor of Jesus.
Center stage at the Victory Gardens Theater. Actions in the spotlight.
He swings his arms around in a circle.
Are made clearer by words from the overhead booth.
Lights fade in slowly.
The gestures the actors make.
Lang unties Chum from the chair.
The props they pick up.
He moves the camera wildly. They sit, remove shoes.
Are narrated by an audio describer.
He puts his camera into his backpack and sets it down.
While visually impaired theatergoers listen in on headsets.
I enjoy the problem solving of trying to figure out how to describe this large, elaborate thing in 6 words or less. A masked soldier punches Chum.
Brian Balcom says the job comes down
He backs away.
to choosing your words carefully.
Pulls off his own mask to reveal his face. You want to make sure they are efficient, and you want to make sure they are descriptive. Lang yells in Chum's face. Oftentimes, you only have 1 second or a half a second to communicate as much as you possibly can. Chum tied and blindfolded.
It sounds like a brain teaser.
It is a bit of a brain teaser. It's a bit of a puzzle.
On video, Balcom walked us through the process.
Saying it like he's strumming a guitar.
For the theater's latest production, Cambodian rock band.
So this action right here, you might say he moves the camera in and out towards and, to and away from her, but all we really have time for in that moment is he moves the camera wildly.
Balcom attends rehearsals.
This one is slightly longer.
Marking pauses on stage in his script with circles. The numbers above indicate how many beats he has to speak. His notes in pencil are what the audience hears.
So in this moment, what he does is he hands her the camera and he goes and poses in front of the sign. I had to parse it down to make sure that the description of him making a face like a fish landed at the same time as the laugh did in the show.
People with disabilities often don't even think about going to theater because they just assume it's inaccessible.
Mike Irvin helps coordinate access programs at Victory Gardens.
You can feel there's some dials.
Their efforts include touch tours before performances, where audiences are guided around the stage, becoming familiar with the sets and costumes, and even meet the actors who describe their characters.
Oh, okay.
And that's where we encountered Deborah Stein.
Most of my life, I've attended theater that didn't have any particular accommodations.
Gave me the key.
Now and then would nudge the person next to me and say, "What's happening?" and try to keep it low.
His arms around in a circle, like a rock star.
So it really enriches the experience.
And that's the last word. In Lincoln Park, Vince Gerasole, CBS 2 News.
CBS 2's Vince Gerasole has a look at how history has been woven into an American theater classic.
Getting to know you, getting to feel free.
You may have gotten to know the story of the British woman bringing Western values to the royalty of what's now Thailand. But The King and I is rooted in history, based on the writings of teacher Anna Leon Owens about her time in the court of King Mongkut in the mid-19th century.
Anna's narrative itself, we know now, is an unreliable narrative.
As the Lyric Opera of Chicago mounts a lavish production of the tale, director Lee Blakely admits Leon Owens may have exaggerated her credentials at the court and not given full credit to the king.
And that's one of the big influences in this production, is who he was as a man and what he was trying to achieve.
Yes, Mongkut had 32 wives and 82 children, but unlike neighboring rulers, he avoided European takeover by embracing Western innovations in science and technology. That's influencing Paulo Montalban's portrayal of the monarch.
Mongkut was one of the most influential Asians of the 19th century.
King Mongkut was multilingual and successfully negotiated with Western powers, encouraging trade with other nations while still protecting his own country's customs and sovereignty.
He thought ahead and he modernized his country before the other people could do it for him.
There will still be a sweeping polka on stage at the Lyric in a production that's not stepping around the achievements of the king.
He was an incredible leader.
Don't forget, there'll be some incredible music there, too. The King and I runs April 29th to May 22nd at the Lyric Opera, and tickets range from $30 to $200. Just one more story I want to tell you quickly, too. In reality, King Mongkut wrote to President Buchanan offering elephants for construction in the United States. But in the play, naturally, they changed it to President Lincoln and help in the Civil War. But I guess here in the land of Lincoln, that's okay.
A St. Ignatius grad is in the spotlight and admits it took surviving some bumps along the way.
CBS 2's Vince Gerasole introduces us to the actress making a name for herself in the title role of Beautiful, the Carole King musical.
I feel the earth move under my feet.
In the early 70s, Carole King's music spoke to a generation. Bringing her story to life now falls on the shoulders of Chicago area actress Sarah Bachl.
2-3 years ago, I was working like 3 day jobs, trying to make it, ends meet.
As she tours the country in the title role in Beautiful, the Carole King musical, the 29-year-old Bachl stopped by her alma mater, St. Ignatius, with an important message for theater students there.
I ended up telling him, like, don't worry, you can fail classes, not get into your second or first choice college, and you can still succeed.
Bachl recalls being cast as an understudy and keeping her waitress job in the loop to make ends meet.
I had to be on call every night, but I couldn't afford to not still work. So I would wait on tables that were going to see Sunday in the Park at Chicago Shakespeare, and I'd say, oh, I'm understudying that show, and they'd be like, oh, don't you have to be at the theater? And I said, well, if I get a call, you won't have a waitress anymore.
Bachl has big shoes to fill. Evanston native Jessie Mueller won a Tony playing King on Broadway, and her sister Abby Mueller played the role earlier on tour. Bachl credits both in helping her hit the right notes in her performance as Carole King.
Your parents must be so proud.
Are you kidding? They've seen the show like 20 times. They bring their friends in tow. I've got 24 people from where my parents live in Princeton, Illinois, coming next week.
Vince Gerasole, CBS 2 News.